Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show has a lot to do with the full moon at 28 degrees of Aquarius yesterday, and that's why it's called Shockwave. Aquarius is the traditional ruler of the 11th house of hopes and wishes, and its ruler is Uranus, the planet that rules sudden change. And so a shockwave can be reverberating through all of our lives. In fact, perhaps throughout the world, and that can be occurring this week or in the weeks to come as pressure builds up to a tipping point or a breaking point, and that can have a lot of reverberation throughout our lives. And the reason why is because there is so much pressure among the planets. In fact, there's too much. That's why a shock wave can occur, and that is because under yesterday's full moon, the moon was at 28 degrees of Aquarius, and it was exactly opposing the sun at 28 degrees of Leo. And Mercury was there as well at 25 degrees of Leo. Those three planets in fixed signs were all being squared by Saturn in Scorpio, the fourth planet in a fixed signs. Well, fixed signs don't budge at all, particularly not when they're in harsh aspect. So that by itself could promote a lot of indecision or confusion in one way or another, particularly since the lights are opposing each other. But the real culprit is the fact that there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs forming what we call a grand cross. A grand cross occurs when there are planets in 4 signs and they're all harshly squaring or opposing each other, and each sign is in a different element. There are 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water. And so what we're seeing is Uranus in Aries is squaring Jupiter and Mars in Cancer, and Uranus is also opposing Venus in Libra, and Pluto in Capricorn is squaring both of those planets and opposing that Jupiter and Mars as well. So those are the 5 planets in cardinal signs which rule right and wrong, virtue and vice. And it simply means everyone is sticking to their own point of view, and because they are not willing to compromise in any way, or they can only see their own point of view, they're not making an effort to see anyone else's or consider anyone else's ideas. What we've got is 5 planets in cardinal signs harshly aspecting each other, and another 4 planets in fixed signs doing the same thing. And with that pressure building up among 9 planets, and there's only 10 up there, there's got to be a shock wave. There's got to be a time when the pressure is so great it could cause an explosion, or it can certainly cause a lot of problems. What could they be? Well, for one thing, we know that there's indecision and confusion under a full moon because the lights are opposing each other. But there's more than that, and that is because Leo rules leadership, and Mercury is there, the planet of the mind. And so if somebody wants to be a great leader right now, they'll have to modernize. And that's what Aquarius rules. It rules the future. It rules aviation and space and electronics and computers. And it certainly rules technology and things that are ahead of their time. So a leader is going to have to make some sort of a choice about how to modernize in order to succeed. However, will there be enough money for that? No. And that is because Saturn is squaring the Sun and Mercury in Leo, and it is squaring the full moon in Aquarius. So there won't be enough money, and there'll still be a need to modernize, and that could create a lot of pressure. In the cardinal signs, though, it's a little worse than that. And the reason why is because Jupiter and Mars are in Cancer, but Jupiter is at 12 degrees and Uranus in Aries is also at 12 degrees. These 2 planets are in harsh exact square to each other, and Uranus is in the sign of new beginnings, but it's going backwards or retrograde, and that simply means there can be a very unpleasant surprise, and that can be connected with a need to redo something. In fact, some people are just going to have to start over from the ground up right now and simply begin all over again. And that's because Uranus is also squaring Mars, another malefic planet in Cancer. But because Mars is in Cancer, it simply means that there can be a family matter or a real estate issue that can change suddenly, and that could create some sort of pressure as well. Then another cardinal sign has Venus in it. Venus actually is in Libra, the sign that it rules. That's wonderful because it's also trining the full moon in Aquarius. That's good. And because Venus is at home in the sign it rules, it simply means that there can be a lot of effort right now by someone to perhaps make a good marriage or a good business deal, or there can be a great contract possibility around that could be signed with somebody who knows how to compromise or knows how to be rather charming and tactful. That's what Venus in Libra rules. But the problem is, by itself, that's great. But Venus in Libra is opposing the other love planet, Uranus, which is in Aries. Uranus rules platonic or spiritual love. Venus rules touching love. And when these two planets oppose each other, it simply means, since Uranus rules sudden change, that there could be a sudden breakup. And that would be very surprising. Remember, shock wave. And that could happen and take it could be some sort of a breakup that is perpetuated by somebody who doesn't, say, want to get married. Maybe one partner wants to get married, that would be the Venus in Libra, and the other partner says, no, thank you. That would be Uranus in Aries. So that can promote a shocking surprise in everybody's love life right now. Or there can be a shock wave from an unexpected breakup of one sort or another. It may not be in a romantic way. It might be at your workplace, or it might be in some other social setting, but it could be very jarring. And the reason why it could be jarring is because Pluto in Capricorn, which is retrograde right now, is squaring Uranus in Aries. It's squaring Venus in Libra, and it is opposing Mars and Jupiter in Cancer. And because Pluto rules deep truth and it rules management, particularly in large corporations or government agencies, it simply means that somebody who is very powerful could be stripped of their power and their money. Why is money an issue now? And why would that create such a shock wave? Because Mars in Cancer is opposing that Pluto. And Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. But when they are in opposition, that means somebody's not going to get the money they think they should get. And it can be that if someone falls from grace, or if a policy fails, or a program fails, there goes the money with it too. So that wouldn't help anybody. And that's why there can be a shock wave. So what can you do under circumstances that are so harsh? What you can do, I think, is trust your feelings. In fact, I think you'll have to trust your feelings rather than the apparent truth. And why I say apparent truth is because everybody has their own rendition of the facts, and they are in conflict right now. So who are you supposed to believe? There is a grand trine in water signs, though. That Mars and Jupiter in Cancer are trining Saturn in Scorpio, meaning we may not be happy with things, but we have a good handle on our emotions, and we can control our emotions pretty well. And also those three planets, Mars and Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Scorpio, are trining Neptune in Pisces, which is retrograde. And because it's retrograde and because it rules dreams and high ideals, it simply means you're going to have to pare down your dreams or your goals to fit a reduced budget right now. And that is why you need to trust your feelings rather than what a lot of other people are telling you, because at least that will help you handle a shock wave. I think the shock wave is coming. If it doesn't come next week, it's on its way, because there are too many planets, 9 of them, in very harsh aspect, and it's like the universe can't take that, and neither can we. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think you will definitely be involved in some sort of shock wave right now. And the reason why is that yours is a cardinal sign, and there are 5 planets harshly aspecting each other. The one that I think could happen to you very, very quickly is that there could be a breakup. And it might be instigated by you, Aries, and that is because your sign is being trined by the Sun and Mercury in Leo. You do have some backup there, and it simply means that if somebody wants to be a leader right now, they'll have to find a way to modernize, and there isn't going to be enough money to do that, but they still could have a lot of bright ideas. And rather than you be challenged by intractable forces that are stronger than you are, Aries, it would be a good idea if you started off in a new direction and followed a charismatic leader right now. I hope you do that, because otherwise I think you're going to be overwhelmed and the shockwave will hit you. It could be something that would represent an unpleasant surprise, Aries, and in order to avoid that, I hope you sort of join a new team. As far as I can see, that is the best thing you could do for yourself right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, I think that what is going to be happening to you is that you're going to be stopped, Taurus, and I mean stopped cold. Not even stopped a little bit, stopped cold. And the reason why is that yours is a fixed sign. And remember, I said, ooh, those fixed signs are having a problem right now. And that is because the full moon yesterday in Aquarius squared your sun. The Sun and Mercury in Leo are also squaring your sun. And Saturn in Scorpio is opposing your sun sign. You're stopped, Taurus. You can't move in any direction. And I think that is going to be surprising to you, because I think you've been counting on something. And instead, it's not going to happen. And you will be stopped. And I think that you will be very surprised at that, since I think you had been taking something for granted. And I think you are thinking that you are assured of success, but you will be stopped right now, Taurus, and there's no way around it. Something's going to stop you, and that'll be a shockwave for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, it's rather fortunate, even though we haven't had planets in the air signs in the last few weeks, that there are good planets now trining your sun. And that's because Venus in Libra is trining your sun, and the full moon in Aquarius yesterday was also trining your sun. So that means there can be somebody around who's rather peacemaking, probably pretty good looking, and is very congenial, and can be either attracted to you or you can be attracted to them, Gemini. So there could be a rather harmonious partnership on your horizon, and that would be wonderful. At the same time, that moon in Aquarius, although it is very sorely aspected right now, it is trining your sun, meaning that you could have a conversation with a very enlightened person. Somebody who could be a little bit unusual and ahead of their time, but really know what they're doing. And so it's possible that you could form a pretty good alliance right now, or friendship right now, Gemini. And there aren't any planets in the mutable signs. I don't think that you're going to be too hurt by a shockwave, but you will feel it. It's just I don't think it'll happen to you, Gemini. And instead, you're going to be able to turn around and form a new partnership that can represent a helpful ally to you. And I think you'll really enjoy that. What does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, I think you're really going to feel a shockwave right now, and that is because of the 5 planets in cardinal signs. 2 of them are in exact harsh square to each other, and one of them is in your sign. It is Jupiter in your sign, which is exactly square Uranus in Aries. And so I think there can be an unpleasant surprise that can represent something that has to be redone. And it could be a plan of yours that has to be redone. It also might be involving a family member, or something where you thought everything was sort of fixed, but it isn't. And so I think somebody's got a surprise for you that you might not be very fond of, Cancer. But on the other hand, the only good aspect right now or the best aspect is the planets in water signs that are all trining each other. And so if you are affected by some sort of shock wave or unpleasant surprise, I think you're going to be able to handle it really well, Cancer. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but it means that you're well equipped to handle it, and particularly to handle your emotions very well. So I don't think that you're necessarily going to be hit and be down and out. Instead, you may be able to successfully marshal your forces and really, really shine, but it might be for an unpleasant reason. And still, the shockwave is going to hit everybody in one way or another. And so I think that you are well equipped to handle it, Cancer. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is simply a time when I think that you cannot gain control of something, even if you've got great ideas, if you don't modernize. And that means you're going to have to go beyond your comfort level right now, Leo. And that could be hard to do because there isn't enough money right now. So you're going to have to get creative as far as money goes and maybe pare down your dreams to fit a tinier budget right now. And that's because Scorpio is squaring your sun and the full moon was opposing it. So I know it's a little hard to get your way right now, Leo, but if you live within reality and you adapt to that, I think you can still accomplish something. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, since we're talking about a shock wave and your sign rules worry, you could be very worried right now because there are a lot of harsh aspects among the planets indicating a harsh buildup of pressure among people, even among natural forces, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's just overwhelming. And so you may be saying to yourself, Virgo, oh, the sky is going to fall in, but it isn't going to fall on you, Virgo. And the reason why is that the mutable signs are sort of getting off right now. And that's because there aren't any planets in Gemini, your sign, Sagittarius, or Sagittarius. There is just one planet in mutable sign, and that is Neptune in Pisces, which is opposing your sun sign. And so that simply means for as long as Neptune is in Pisces, that you better not believe everything everyone's telling you, Virgo. But on the other hand, you do not think are going to be involved in some sort of shock wave. And it might be because you generally keep your goals rather modest and because you try not to stand out. And this is a good time not to do that. And so I think that you are a person who probably, once a shock wave hits, is going to be able to work on some answers or some solutions. And the reason why is that the Sun and Mercury, your own ruler, are late in the sign of Leo, and they are right behind your sun sign. So if something very unpleasant happens, I think that behind the scenes, you're going to go to work right away and try to figure out how to solve it. And I think you'll do a good job of that because both the Sun and Mercury are coming into your sign, Virgo. So I do think you'll be involved in a solution, but I don't think you'll be involved in a shock wave unless it is to solve it or prevent it. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, lucky you, Venus is in your sun sign, which is wonderful because it gives you a lot of relief at last, Libra. And that is because it rules your sign. Your sign is a traditional ruler of the 7th house of partnership and of the law and of contracts and business partnerships as well. So it has a lot to do with everything legal. And so this is simply a time when you probably do have the law on your side, Libra. And that full moon yesterday in Aquarius trined your sun, which is wonderful. That means that you can be involved with somebody, perhaps a woman, who is very much ahead of her time, who certainly has her eyes on the future or knows a lot about technology and for one reason or another is drawn to you. That would be good. You need an ally or you need a partner. First of all, Libras work best in partnership, and so that's wonderful. But also, there is the threat of some sort of sudden breakup in your life, Libra. I do not think that you would mind that at all, and that is because Uranus in Aries is opposing Venus in your sign. And so don't be surprised if somebody just walks out the door and slams it behind them right now, Libra. I don't think you'll miss them at all because somebody better is headed your way. And the lights do favor you right now. The full moon is trining your sun, and the Sun and Mercury in Leo are sextiling your sun. So I think that you'll be associating with very charismatic people that are a little bit ahead of their time. And I think they can be drawn to you because you're sort of easy to live with, Libra. So if somebody walks out, just wave goodbye. You're better off without them. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when I think it is going to be difficult for you to go forward by yourself right now. And so I'm urging you not to. And the reason why, remember, is that there are 4 planets in fixed signs. And fixed signs don't budge anyway, but they really don't budge when they're being challenged or attacked. They dig in. And I think that's what you're going to do. And that's because that full moon in Aquarius yesterday squared your sun. And that simply means somebody else has a bright idea and they want to see it through, or they want to sort of jump ahead right now, and you are doubting if it's worth it, particularly if it's worth it financially. And that is because Saturn is in your sign. So the full moon squared Saturn. And when the moon and Saturn square each other, generally parents do not get along. And because Saturn is in your sign, a financial sign, there can be arguments about money, particularly among parents right now, and they would not be resolved. On top of that, Saturn in your sign is squaring the Sun and Mercury in Leo. And that means somebody is going to have to modernize in order to gain control and succeed. And there isn't enough money to do that. And you're not willing to part with it either. In fact, you're being, I think, very conservative right now. And I think that's a good idea, Scorpio, because in a shocking world that may involve some sort of very unpleasant surprise, nobody quite knows how everything is going to turn out right now. And that's why I think you should just hunker down and hang on to your money right now. I don't think that this is a favorable time for you to invest in anything. Just keep your money for your loved ones instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when I think that a shock wave can reverberate around you. I'm not certain that it will happen to you, and that is because yours is a mutable sign, and it is being well aspected. The Sun and Mercury in Leo are trining your Sun, and Uranus in Aries is also trining your Sun. Those planets are in a lot of trouble, but I don't think you are, Sagittarius, because there's only one planet in the mutable signs, and it's Neptune in Pisces squaring your own. So you're really kidding yourself about a health matter right now. And in fact, the reason why you're kidding yourself is because you think no one's noticing, but they are, Sagittarius. So you really have to address a health issue before it gets worse and before it gets costly. Remember, Saturn is in Scorpio right behind your sun sign. And that means there can be some bills hanging around, or there can be some heavy expenses coming up if you're not careful. That's why I think you should really mind your health right now. And if there is a new start, it isn't going to get off the ground as fast as everyone thinks because the budget isn't approved for it yet. And that's why I think you should spend this time just on self-improvement, because that's good for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, I think you're going to feel the shock wave, and that is because there is the possibility that there is a power shift going on for you, or there can be a family matter that has been contentious and that may really not work out now. And also there can be a breakup, and one that is somewhat unexpected. But the pressure is building so much among the 5 planets in the cardinal signs that something has to give. And because Pluto is in your sign and it rules powerful people in government agencies or large corporations, and it is opposing Mars and Jupiter in Cancer, I think there is going to be a powerful person who is stripped of their power and loses their money as well. And on top of that, both love planets are squaring Pluto in your sign. There are no other planets in the earth signs. There's nothing fortifying you right now, Capricorn. So you really have to sort of try to be as conservative and quiet as you can, because the shock wave is going to hit. And what I hope is that it's not going to hit you too badly. But I think you're going to have to really hold yourself in and not respond to other challenges, particularly not to problems you can't fix right now. Stay out of the fray, Capricorn. It's not going to do you any good to go up against heavy challengers, because nothing's going to be resolved. And instead there will be a shock wave that could promote a power shift, and it might be you that loses your power. So be careful. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, that full moon was in your sign yesterday, and that simply means because it was rather harshly aspected, remember there were 4 planets in fixed signs, it simply means that a shock wave is around, perpetuated, I think, by your ruler, Aquarius, Uranus, which is part of a grand cross in cardinal signs, and it's retrograde. So you may be affected by the fact that something is going to have to get redone, and it might have to be redone in a way that makes people go all the way back to the beginning and start again from the ground up. that could affect you. However, if you were doing that, you might be doing that with a delightful partner because Venus in Libra is trining your sun. So I don't think that you can convince people who are very fixed in their attitudes to change, and so I wouldn't waste any time on that, Aquarius. Instead, try to pick up a new and delightful partner because it could be mutually beneficial. You could really be very creative right now, even if the money is not quite there to make everything happen. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when with only Neptune in your sign and nothing else bothering it at all because there's nothing in any of the other mutable signs, when you can be sort of lost in a dream or thinking that you can make a dream come true, but you'll still have to go back and sort of revise it in one way or another, Pisces. And that is because there is a grand trine in water signs. Okay, so Jupiter and Mars, which are harshly aspected, are actually trining your sun, and Saturn, which is also harshly aspected, is trining your sun as well. So I think, Pisces, if you just did not give anything away right now, in other words, if you were very, very quiet and kept an exceedingly low profile, you would make it through a shockwave right now. You would see it happening right in front of you, though, because Uranus is in front of your sun sign. But I think you could sort of slip out the back door at the same time. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. The studio will be closed for the next 2 weeks, so we're going to put on some shows that don't have predictions, but they have a lot to do with astrology anyway, so I hope you watch them. Thanks a lot. Bye.